Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about the most expensive knight that has been added to the game so far, which is Alaya Shaka. Now, I will briefly talk about the event where you can pull him from as well. But as usual, let's talk about how strong he is before moving on to is it actually worth going after him. Alright, so starting off with his ultimate, basically he has quite a few different effects. The first one is at the start of the battle, you would not attack, but you will gain shield, and during that time, every single minute, every single second, you gonna increase your attack and also Cosmo. Now, increasing Cosmo, we obviously always know that's a very strong effect. Increasing attack is also going to be very useful for him because you'll see later on quite a lot of his stuff actually scale based on his attack stats. So that's kind of the reason. The other thing you kind of want to take note of is that he wouldn't attack for the first 5 seconds. That have a few implications in the actual battle as well. One is, for example, the enemy in the front row opposite him, because they will get hit by one less normal attack every single time. Basically, he will charge up Cosmos slightly slower, and also because you're not attacking, you essentially wouldn't be affected by things such as Aphrodite's poisoning or I'm trying to think of other ones. Argos effects, Gemini Cannon's effects as well. So you wouldn't be affected by any of those for the first 5 seconds because you didn't attack. Then there's also an active effect as well, but that is more just doing damage, but it's real damage based on difference between attack stats, which is why I say, the higher attack he has, the better it is. Then move on to skill 2. This is attacking the enemy with the highest attack, and basically during that time, they will all damage caused by the target will be nullified, so essentially they wouldn't be able to do any damage, which is nice because you're targeting the enemy's DPS, and also they will lose HP per second, so that's also quite nice. Now this can be up to 5 seconds, and each second 7%, so you're literally just deleting 35% of their max HP, so that's a very strong looping skill as well. Then we move on to another looping skill. I wouldn't go through all of them, but essentially it's just a space effect which randomly take the form of one of those six. All six of them are pretty strong, but this gets even better when we move on to his clothes. But yeah, because there's a huge randomness factor, I wouldn't go through every single one of them, but they're all pretty decent. Then lastly, we have a trigger effect, which is whenever he is getting attacked, if the attacking enemy has attacks lower than Shaka, then damage will only be 60%. So once again, it shows Shaka really benefit from having a higher attack stats. So overall, you can really see they're all really strong skills. Like this Lucan's got 35% HP, that's ridiculous. It's aimed at enemy DPS and making them essentially blinding them as well. So that's really good. And then you have this, which is really strong passive. Essentially, if you can get the highest attack on the field, you are guaranteed to only take 60% damage every single time. And it gets better because now, first of all, with his clothes, level 1, it just increasing the shield. That's not too much to talk about. You're also increasing defense, so that's also nice, making you more, stronger defensively. Um, then the third one, the attack will ignore all defense during that dimensional effect. Now, during that dimensional effect, only certain ones actually do attack. So even though this do benefit Shaka, the one that actually gonna be benefit is a bit RNG based, unless you also happen to do, release your loop skill or ultimate skill there any as well. But other than that, this one's been more RNG. But the highest level, that's the one which is really OP, which is that all enemies passive and effects are going to be invalid. Now, this is very similar to God Calls Hugo's Ultima, but God Calls Hugo's Ultima, first of all, I think it's only 4 or 5 seconds rather than this dimension effect, which is 6 seconds. There's a short amount of time, as only 3 target, which was this one is all of the enemies, so that's kind of why this is possibly the strongest skill. For him in the game right now, because it just makes the enemy essentially not able to do anything during that time, like all of the enemy. So this is a ridiculous skill. So if you do happen to have a Alaya Shaka, you really want to get to at least 9 star to unlock the clothes. Now for this one, this is his constellation. So the first one is his looping skill. The target cannot restore HP, and defense will be decreased to 0. So once again, this kind of overlaps with the level 20 of the close, where if the dimensional field is in effect, then the defense will be ignored, etc. So there's a slight overlap there. But then what's making it even stronger is 9 out of 9. All the damage and lost HP dealt by this looping skill will be used to healing Shaka, and all the damage received by Shaka is only going to be 50% as well. This once again makes Shaka a lot more stronger defensively, and you can already see he has a lot of attacking power as well as his OP dimensional field. So if you're making him even stronger defensively, you are gonna make him a lot harder to kill, and therefore this dimension effect will always be there. So once again, overall, very very strong ability all around. All right, now let's come to the most important question regarding Alaya Shaka, which is how much is it going to cost to actually pull him, and is it worth it or not? Now, basically, you get Alaya Shaka by redeeming all of those beads into fragments. Now, there are two currency here. There's those purple ones, which you need 6 of them to get 1 Shaka, or the yellow ones, which you need 600 to get Shaka. Now you get all of these beads through either buying with real money, or you have this pool, which is obviously random, but they tell you the probability here. And if you do a bit of like expected probability, etc., you can find out basically per summon or per spin the expected value, or the expected number of beads you're going to get is about 6 on average. In fact, it's exactly 6 if you do the calculation. Obviously, that's only on average, so depending on your probably your luckiness, etc. But yeah, on average, you expect to get 6 per spin. So if you need 600 of those yellow ones, you need to spin this 100 times. But then on top of that, when you spin it every single time, you got to get 0.5. So what that basically means is that out of your 100 spins, you are actually gonna get more like 1.8 of a Shaka, if I've done the calculation right. Yeah, 1.8 of a Shaka, which essentially means that on average, every 90 spins, you're about to see a Shaka coming out. Now, how do we get all of those spins? So basically what you do is you have this event, which is like a grunt event. The basic version, the free version, is only 12 beats. Obviously, you can pay more in order to get another 62, but the basic version is only 12. And then you also have this one, I think. No, not this one. This one, which once again you can pay actual money, or you can get one for free every day for 14 days. Oh no, I think it was 15 days because I'm recording this on the second day of the event or the third day of the event. I can't remember now. I think second day of the event. So you get like 15 from here. So 15 plus the 12 from this, so that's 27 total. There is also the sign-in, which you get another 8. So that together is 35. Now, the sign-in is only for 7 days, and basically there's another 7 day afterwards. I don't know how many you're gonna get, but right now, free to play seems to be only gonna get 35. I'm gonna forecast maybe in the second half the reward will be slightly better, and also I don't know whether you get anything extra out of this, but my guess is you're probably gonna get 45 to 50 beats in total as a free to play. That's gonna be my estimate, which basically means you can only summon half a Shaka every single time. And this event, if I remember correctly, it takes 60 days to come back. So basically, for you to actually get 1 Shaka as free to play, it is gonna take you 4 months. A lot of time. Now, if we actually think about is Shaka good? Is Shaka worth getting? Now, basically, Shaka to me have two main milestones. The first one is when he's at 9 star. What that's able to give is allow you to unlock his clothes to get to level 30. And then you have a pretty OP dimensional effect, which ignore all the passive, etc. So that's really nice. However, that is only half of the story because if you look at all of his other skills, it's vast majority of the time tied in with his attack stats. For example, his all damage is like absolute difference between attacking stats. His passive effect is based on like a damage reduction for enemies with lower attacking power. So what that basically means is that in total, what you're actually gonna see is that even if you have him at 9 star and you can use the dimensional effect, it's not really gonna be any strong for him as a kit as a whole. Ideally, in order to fully utilize him, you need him to actually completely maxed out so you can take advantage of his attacking stats, scaling, etc. But that is not something you can get unless you max him out. And even to get to 9 star, what you need is 8 copies. I did mention it takes you 4 months to get 1 copy on average free to play. So basically that means 32 months, which is what, 2.5 years, just for you to get a copy, well not copy, to get enough copies to 9 star and unlock constellation and make it even playable. So, is it worth the wait for 2.5 years? Probably not. So, if you're completely free to play, I think you can ignore this character completely. There's just no point. Now, if you're willing to actually spend, then that's a slightly different question. Now, the best one, value one, is probably going to be this, which is so in my currency it's £28, or that's probably what, €30, something like that. Um, and for that, you can get 62 beads. So if you say what I was saying before, where you get about like 50 for free to play, then adding another 62 here, you are pretty much guaranteed at least 1 copy per banner. So that basically half the amount of time you need to spend. But you're probably still looking at what, a year, just over a year for you to get a 9 star. So that's still a really, really long time waiting. Maybe you can top it off by, probably the only other one worth buying is this one, the £5 one for another 10. But still, that's a tiny amount, so that probably won't speed up your process much faster. You might be looking at from moving from just over a year to just under a year for you to get 9 star Shaka. And if you actually want to be a playable one and make it competitive to utilize all of his other stats, you're really looking at 2 year horizon to actually have one good Shaka. So in summary, I guess you can probably tell from my reactions over. Not a character that's worth summoning for unless you are actually good at well. I think this type of event do come back in the future. For example, there's another new character in the Chinese version, which is using similar type of resources, which is I say Odysseus or Ulysses, depending on whether they're gonna use the Roman or the Greek translation. But that character is not really playable unless it's pretty high level as well. So far, I'm not a great fan of either of those. I think the only way it's going to be reasonable for a free to play to actually take advantage of this kind of event is if they actually release a character which is kind of like a canon kind of thing, where it will be playable even at 5 star. I think it will be only that kind of scenario where this will actually be good. Or maybe like Agate kind of thing, like have a bit of immortality, or like Iki, or yeah, Goku's Iki, which hasn't been added there, or Hades Shun. I think those type of characters who are valuable even at 5 star. I think if that's the case, then yeah, the free to play can actually enjoy a bit and actually have something to look for, in 2 months or 4 months time. But right now, even though the first milestone is only 9 star, but that's already going to take you like a year and a half. It's just really not worth it. Sorry, a year and a half for a bit minus spending, 2 year and a half for complete free to play, and that to me is just honestly not worth it. So that's going to be my verdict on Shaka Alaya.